Hi, welcome to Zatu Games. I'm Nick from Pads and Pawns, and today on this ZatChat, I and three of the other bloggers will be talking about our experiences with Whistle Mountain. Let's go take a look. Hello, welcome to Zatu. With me is the Pink Meeple, Bid, and the honest Northern Gimp, I'm going to say. First thing that popped into my head. Sorry. It's Monday night, it's bank holiday. We all know what goes down. We have played another game together. Actually, a fair while ago, we played Whistle Mountain, which is the sequel in name to Whistle Stop, although not really very similar. And it is, we played it again on Tabletop Simulator, so it will have taken a bit longer, especially as there is a lot of moving bits around resources and placing tiles, which sometimes we had to fix because the magnetism didn't quite work, but not as bad as Tabletopia, according to Ben. He said Tabletopia was a nightmare for placing the tiles.
That was scaffolding. A disaster, yes.
Yeah, so play it on TTS if you're going to play it online. I've played this a number of times now online, and I double-handed this when I first got it. So it's there's a bit of worker placement. Your workers are hot air balloons, of course, and airships. You're placing them in spots to get stuff. You're recalling those, so your actions are to place one out, recall. But there's also some kind of cooperative tile laying where you're building scaffolding together, but at the same time trying to screw each other over by placing your workers from the side. I've forgotten why they're called. I think they are called workers. But you have loads of meeples going up a dam, and the ones at the lower down are at risk from being flooded out. There was a lot more flooding out in this game, that's what I will say, than past ones. So you're kind of building this scaffolding to put machines on it, but everyone can then activate those machines. You can activate them. There's unique upgrades you can get. You all start with a unique power. And one thing that I ignored in the early games I played was some brilliant cards. Cards are always worth getting. And in general, like whistles, the resources are used for one thing or another. Coal and iron are used to get machines. Whistles are used to get scaffolding. Water's used for building, and then gold. Whistles are wild as well, aren't they? What's gold used for? Can't even remember.
Gold was used.
Oh, for moving your workers around, for rescuing them and moving them onto the scaffolding and then onto safety for scoring. There's a tower opposite the kind of barracks where your workers are, and you really want to get your workers quite high up on that because there's a multiplier of workers to the level that you're on for your score. But there are multiple other ways of scoring. So I think it was Callum, it was your first game on that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And it was your second, Tom, was it?
It was, but I have played it since.
Yeah. Oi, homework.
I played it this weekend. I knew we were doing this, so I actually played it this weekend.
Excellent. Go on then, Callum, hit us with some thoughts.
Oh, man, I think you picked me first. All right. So, having no idea about what the game was about and it being called Whistle Mountain, I imagined it'd all be trains and things. So that's because you kept on calling it Whistle Stop. I really enjoyed the worker placement and the fact that your actual board had an initial ability and then you could build a synergy with extra abilities as well. So I eventually got to a point where I placed my hot air balloon, got loads of resources, and then took the hot air balloon back immediately.
Oh, that sucked.
It was amazing. I loved it. Because it meant that had I a better understanding of what I actually needed to do, I could have just abused that constantly and never needed to take anything back.
Did you have the diagonal one as well?
Yeah, I had the diagonal one as well. You all hated me. It was great. What I found really tricky was the actual planning on placement of machines, because I would place scaffolding to build enough of an area to build something, and then Nick would place the machine, a machine of the same size in that space, not to help anybody other than to get a single worker across.
Yeah, there was your workers across.
Yeah. There was a lot to think about in the game, but it wasn't hard to get your head around once you'd got it, and getting resources wasn't tricky. I think the only gripe I would have is if I didn't have that hot air balloon ability, I'd feel like every once in a while I was wasting a turn getting things back without any benefit, but I don't know if there's abilities that sort of give that a bolster or a buff, or had I cashed in on the cards a bit more, if that had been more helpful. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah, and I've got to mention that when you build a machine, that's what sends your workers into the scoring areas, and you get a bonus as the first person there. But if anybody else's workers are there, they get sent across as well. So like Callum was saying, like you could build scaffolding and stick one of your workers on it, so that when if they build on it, they send your worker across as well. Or you can kind of wait till the scaffolding's more full, build scaffolding, and then do a machine. But you have to really prep that. Tom, what about you? You just played it virtually, haven't you?
No, I played my actual copy. I popped all the pieces this weekend, so yeah, finally actually came out of shrink wrap properly over the weekend. Again, absolutely, really enjoyed it. I like the way, like Callum was saying, that when you're placing the scaffolding down, it's a worker placement game where you essentially build the worker spots as you're playing the game, which is quite interesting. So if you've got a particular strategy that you're going for, you can make sure that there's a cluster of resources that are useful to you that you can go in every time. Now, obviously, that's available to everybody else as well, but maybe their strategies don't line up with yours in such a way. Or you could have, let's say, as Callum did, the ability which means that when you place the single, rather than just getting the stuff that's directly adjacent to your balloon, which is what you normally get, you also get the diagonals, which you could then start really playing into that by making sure the good resources were on the diagonal, so only you could get them. It was really good. I'm still not very good at the game. I still think my first time I played it was the best I did. I've got slightly better. I still found that nearly all of my people on the side drowned because I kept. As you say, I mean, when you pull your balloons back, that's when you can start spending money to rescue your people from the side and put them on the scaffolding. I just never had the resources to do it when we played, and I didn't get much better at the weekend when I played it again. It is one of those things that because you only have 3 workers, and they're all of different sizes, so that there are only certain spaces that can be used by each worker.
Yeah.
And you do have to plan a little bit to make sure that you know where you're going to be placing those things, and that when it is time to call them back, you need to make sure you have the resources to maximise when you're pulling it back, as Callum was saying. That if otherwise you do feel like you've just wasted a turn if you don't have those resources to pull someone off the tower or rescue someone from the pool if they're already drowning.
You definitely want to be moved every time you pull your balloons off. You definitely want to be moving a bloke or a whatever they are across to the scaffolding at the very least. One thing I always forgot when I play until about halfway through is there is that sneaky little space down the bottom that lets you rescue one from the pool for free. And I often when I thought I had nothing else to place, I was like, oh yeah, that one's good. And it only happened a couple of times a game. Okay, Mr. Ben, hit us with your wisdom.
Okay, my wisdom is thus. I've now played it at all player counts. Yes, and it scales really well, and it does affect the dynamic of the game a little bit. So with more players, the scaffolding builds quicker, so you're in more of a rush. And with 2 players, you can almost work a bit more cooperatively to kind of really kind of fit those pieces together nicely and have lots of machines on the go. I guess I want to say what I don't like about the game. What I don't like about the game is the bizarre theme of you are built for some unknown reason building scaffolding to hold these machines up a mountain, which you are building using airships to deposit these machines. And when the machines start, it, I don't know, causes global warming or something, and the ice caps melt. So much so that people on a mountain are washed off the mountain into... I was like, what? Why? And actually, like when I first kind of heard about the game, I was initially interested. Whistle Mountain, I like Whistle Stop. This must be a good game. And then I saw the board, which is basically like some sort of Key Stage 2 graph paper board, combined with like the most ridiculous theme I've ever heard for quite some time. And,
Cosmic Frog, even more so than Cosmic Frog.
Okay, there were a couple of odd games. Anyway, but I ended up playing it and on here and really enjoyed it, and I bought it as a result. I'm a big fan of point salad type games and the fact that you can do all sorts of things to get points, and everything seems to be important. So, like, I want to put scaffolding down because scaffolding gets me points. I want to put machines on the scaffolding because machines get me points. I want to get upgrades because upgrades get me points. I want to get the people out of the water because getting the people out of the water stops me getting minus points. And there's so many options to play. Like in our most recent game we played together, I just went about approaching. I didn't care what machine I got. I just got them. I just looked to see what machine got me the most points and just kept playing that.
And you had a machine bonus as well, didn't you? Or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So the bonuses that your starting bonus really affects, I think, how you play the game. I think you should really read what you can do, and then like attack the game using that, like as strategy, and that really helps. But yeah, the components are excellent. I like how the players control the tempo of the game.
Was it the game with you and Tom where we just built up really, really quickly?
Oh, straight away.
Yeah, it was just like a thin.
Yeah.
The placement's quite cool as well. You have quite a lot of freedom of placement with the scaffolding. Like, you don't have to follow gravity as long as it connects, kind of thing.
I'd really like to see more games using this concept. Like, not only are you building the board, which I think is like fantastic, it's like a worker placement board that starts completely blank, and you start putting things down and you creating the board. But not only that, but you're also, as time goes on, like destroying that board.
Yes.
So what you can do is constantly changing. And I think that's such a clever mechanism. I'd really like to see that more in games.
It would be hard to think of, like, and now you've said it, the theme is like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. But it's hard to think of one where it could have been done in, like with the kind of recycling thing. I think my, if I've got a concern on the negative, it is that I don't want to say that the starting powers are unbalanced, but I think some are definitely easy. They're easier to see how good they are. Like I always really hate starter powers that give you more points during the game, because during the game I want to be doing cool stuff and then getting the points. I don't want to be doing my power to be, oh, you get one more point every time you do that, because I feel like that's a basic thing. Whereas getting stuff on the diagonals, woohoo, that's exciting. So I do think some of the starting powers come across initially, especially in first plays, as most boring. And I actually think in future plays that is one of the ones that I might offer a set of the best powers or the easiest to understand ones, like the diagonal ones, to the new players as a way of giving them more to get out of it. Because I think as having played it, I find less and less that I had a wasted turn or a wasted this or a wasted that. There were some times when I perhaps overspent on my recovery phase, and so I'd have to say, right, this recovery I'm just going to have to concentrate on doing very little, maybe getting a worker out of the fountain, but that's in preparation for my next one. And Tom's really good at this, actually. Tom's really good at not just waiting until all three are out on the board to recover. Like, you'll recover when it's good for you. I say you're really good at it. You did get less than half my points.
Did.
But I like that you do that. I like that that's an option, because it feels like something that I think is like, oh, I can't possibly do that. But then if you can sneak in with a building, with a machine, that is a good move. For me, it's one of the best games of 2020.
I think it's great.
Up there. I struggle to think
it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think it is a very good game.
I think it's top 10 for me. Definitely top 10 2020.
I could see that. Yeah. Definitely the ones
Beyond the Sun is better, in my opinion. You gotta get it in there. I know I'm struggling, but yeah, the whistle thing is almost like it's the connection to the designer rather than the game. Scott Capalto is one of my favourite designers. I think I love Sorcerer City. I loved the 100 Torri, although it wasn't quite in the same level as these. I love Whistle Stop. And then Luke Laurie also did co-designed on this, and he did Dwellings of Eldervale, which again is very good. I'm like seeing these pairings. We're seeing more varying pairings. That's a good game of 2020 as well, to be fair, Dwellings.
That I was going to say, that would probably be my number one of 2020. Or the game that's sat off to my side that we might be playing a bit later.
Yes, yeah. I mean, 2020 wasn't as... I thought it was quite rich for that kind of top tier level anyway. Maybe it wasn't as full in the kind of, top 20 maybe, but that top 10 felt like a difficult choice for me last year. I think there was a lot of good games. It's one that I would highly recommend this for gamers of who are used to medium upwards, medium with a lot to consider, but it's not, like Callum said it well, didn't he? You play quickly, you're like doink, or you're like, the longest go is taking stuff back, because you take them back and you can combo a few things, but everyone else is watching you because they're like, right, if they build there, they might put a machine I want to use, or they might put out scaffolding that I can come in and slap something on there. And you're always looking for those workarounds. There's a few workarounds, especially through the cards and the upgrades, that let you sneak a worker up a tower or something. I think that was in our first game, wasn't it? I got all my workers on the tower quite early, and then I had a power that let me move them up. So I was like, just didn't get enough to beat Ben. Never get enough to beat Ben.
No. Well, I think my approach in the last game, and the one before actually, was to really not be afraid of not using all your airships. I think the first couple of games I played, I was like, right, we always going through the motions. And I won because I was first player, so we were all using our stuff up. So I'd always get to forge first. So if you're not first player, you've got to jump ahead. You've got to get that forging in. So buying a machine and then waiting for someone else to do the hard work, getting the scaffolding, building the scaffolding, put it all down, get it sorted, and then you just go, there's my machine and the scaffolding. Like, just take the points, mess everyone else up, don't care. As long as you're winning, sod everyone else.
There is... I think, again, like in my first couple of games, I saw quite a few machines that let you recover your airships early. So, like, you play one, you recover another one, which, again, early on, you're like, well, I don't see why you would do that. But then you're like, it disrupts the turn order, so I might get to do stuff, which is quite cool. Any more thoughts, Callum, Tom? Falling asleep.
No, I mean, I would agree with what Ben was saying, that you really, to play this game well, you really do have to lean into, like, your starting power. And also, I don't think we really talked about the upgrades that you can pick up. Is it up to 6 upgrades you can get? Is it 6 or 4? I can't remember, 6 or 4. They all seem to break the game when you read them. Like, I think when you mentioned it, that whistles are wild, so obviously you can spend them as everything. Yeah. There's some upgrade to make absolutely every single other resource in the game wild as well.
I always try to collect as many of them.
Yeah, and it feels like it absolutely breaks the game, but the options are there for everybody to do it. So it works because of that. It's a weird game to compare it to, but it almost feels like, Cosmic Encounter, where everything is just a bit broken, but it balances itself out. If you know what I mean.
You can build some incredible engines with the upgrades.
Absolutely. And if you lean into those upgrades as well as your start thing, you're going to have a great game with it. Which is why I didn't do too well the second one, because I think I completely forgot what my starting upgrade was for probably the first 2/3 of the game.
And it's another good one for Bezier Games. I really think they just like smash it every time with mid-weight Euros. They are I think they're not the publisher I've got the most games of. That's probably Pegasus Spielert because they release so many games. But for like, I really enjoy all my Bezier games. Yeah. They really nail that sweet spot for me. That kind of mid-weight thematic Euro.
And Maglev, which really Tom's got. Is there
a
solo mode in that?
There is, yeah.
BGG lies.
There is a solo mode. It's not two-handed, though, is it? There is a solo mode.
Okay, just
it's one of those. It's not bad, but it's one of those ones where when you feel like you've learnt the game and then you have to learn the solo mode because it's different.
Okay, yeah.
It feels a bit like that. It's not like one of those ones where you go, oh, okay, and then I just use cards to drive the other player. There is a bit of a difference, but yeah.
Okay.
I also played that this weekend. I had a Bezier weekend. We played that. We've actually played Suburbia as well, so we did like 3 Bezier games straight off the bat.
Well, let's finish with a difficult question. We'll go to Tom first. Whistle Stop or Whistle Mountain? Which is better? Go.
The
others get to think.
Yeah, do you know what? Whistle Stop. I adore Whistle Stop.
Okay, Ben?
Zero was one of...
Oh, sorry. You was going to say.
I was going to say, Zero was one of the first games that I played when I started getting into like designer board games, and I think Whistle Stop is like a kind of... I don't want to say it's a gamer's Zero, but it has that feeling when you put the Rocky Mountain expansion in there as well, so you've got the extra stuff. It is top class game, really good. I don't think I've quite got that. I've only played Whistle Mountain 3 times, so I haven't quite got the love for it yet that I have for Whistle Stop. But I'm not saying it won't come.
Ben?
That's a tough one. They're both fantastic. I think probably due to a bit of Cult of the New, I'm going to lean towards Whistle Mountain because it's been a while since I've played Whistle Stop. So it's Whistle Mountain still fresh in my mind as being my favourite game that I've played for quite a while.
I'm going to have to be the Simon Cowell, aren't I? Callum?
I've not played Whistle Stop, so Whistle Mountain, easy.
Oh!
Whistle Mountain takes it.
Well, I'm going to go with Stop, just with Stop, so it's 2-2. And that's because I was thinking that I just remember being made to feel really clever by some of my route planning on Whistle Stop. I think Whistle Stop's slightly less friendly because resources are harder to come by and it's more of a grind. Therefore, it made me feel cleverer because you don't get the upgrades that are as nice in the same way of stuff being wild. You really have to go, right, if I move this, I'm going to have to not move that, and I'm going to have to put this coal into doing this, but then I don't have any for that. Can I move it down there? So it's a bit of a slower game and probably comes in slightly heavier, but therefore, because it makes me feel cleverer about myself, and I think it's one I've won every time I've played as well, so that counts.
That helps.
That's why I like Whistle Mountain. I've won that every time I've played it. So
I think you win every time you play with me, so I'm like your good luck charm. I'm your rabbit's foot.
It's interesting you saying that Whistle Stop is, you think it's more complex. I would put it the other way around. But then it's also, when you're saying that it's a meaner game, with Whistle Stop, you can steal the upgrades from other players.
Meaner. I mean, it's tougher in terms of on my brain. You have to think, you have to... no, I don't think it's meaner. I think it's more complex in terms of the goes. You've probably got less to consider. Like Whistle Mountain gives you more options to consider. On Whistle Stop, you're like, right, I've got to get here, but how you get there and how you get the resources, that is tough going. And you have to sacrifice more, I think.
I think that's fair,
yeah. Which makes it feel heavier. Well, thank you for watching us at Zatu Games. That's our thoughts on Whistle Mountain. We're going to now go and play Moonrakers, and then in about 3 years we'll do a video on that. So, yeah. Bye!
Yeah.
Thanks for watching another Zatu video. Do remember to hit like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. If you want more content from us, we are also on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram and TikTok. We stream live on Twitch on Mondays lunchtimes from 12 p.m. That's a solo board game. And we stream live from 9 p.m. on Fridays playing some video games. On Wednesdays from 8 p.m. on Facebook is our weekly live show. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again next time.